All right, we are live, and looks like we've got Gene T is not feeling well, so we're going to just do a quick run through of today's show, and we'll start with the cold open right now.
Ignition and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go NASA.
A small step in the long journey to bring two astronauts home 9 months after they departed on what was supposed to be an 8-day mission.
Main engine cutoff.
SpaceX Dragon, to Alpha.
Stage liberation confirmed.
Once in orbit, the Dragon capsule transporting the replacement crew separated from its rocket.
Great call-outs and incredible views there on your left-hand side. There's that landing burn. Let's watch as Falcon 9 touches down on landing zone 1.
The booster returning to Earth with a textbook landing to the team's relief.
This largest seaborne invasion in history marks a turning point in World War II and becomes the beginning of the end of the war in Europe. 1 week later, on the 13th of June, 1944, Nazi Germany responds with the first V-1 flying bomb attack carried out on London. More than 2,500 V-1s will reach London, killing more than 6,000 innocent civilians. The first V-2 rocket, the world's first long-range guided ballistic missile, hits London on the 8th of September, 1944. These terrifying revenge weapons, with which the Nazis would terrorize people in London until March 1945, are produced thanks to slave labor from Mittelbau-Dora concentration camp. Its commandant is Otto Fürchner. Around 1 in 3 of the roughly 60,000 prisoners who were sent to Mittelbau-Dora died. In the camp, one of Fürchner's duties was preventing acts of sabotage during V-weapons production. To ensure that the camp ran smoothly and such activities did not occur, Fürchner relied on German communist prisoners as administrators in positions that were not required to be held by the SS officers.
All right. We've got a abbreviated broadcast today. We don't have to turn it all the way down. So how's everybody doing? Please let us know in the chat if you can hear us and the audio's good. And so the discussion today is we're going to be talking about the Elon Musk is in the news rescuing these people from the space station, and what not everybody knows or is it's not necessarily information that is like everybody knows Auschwitz and Dachau, but does anybody know Mittelbau-Dora? All right, so this is the slave labor camp where the rocket technology that went into space, the technology that saved those people in the news lately, that technology was invented by Nazi Germany. And so it's an interesting subject to talk about. And for whatever reason, we don't talk about Mittelbau-Dora. We don't talk about the Operation Paperclip, where we took all of the engineers and the scientists of the Third Reich and brought them to NASA. And we need really to talk about this part in history, because this part in history is surrounded by the cruel fact that this is the slave labor who died in this horrific fire in a barn in Nordhausen. And this photo to the right is part of the memoir that we are doing these broadcasts for. So there's a QR code, and we encourage you to take a look at these photographs and the story behind how these photographs came to be. Is an incredible story of French history, American history, and we're trying to find the names to these soldiers. So we're getting close. We think this on the right here is part of the memoir right over here. On the right is part of the photos that we have as part of this collection on the website n'oublionsjamais.org. And to the left is where we were starting to put the names to some of these faces. So, and usually we've got Jean Tonic, and she's not feeling very well at the moment. So we've decided that GP and Jean Tonic will take a break, and I'll sort of man the show for now. And so please, if you have any opinions on this, should we, like, I've noticed, I've been to a Holocaust museum in Paris, I've been to a Holocaust museum in near Chicago, and they don't talk about this this area. They don't talk about it. Mittelbau-Dora. And I was talking to somebody, and this person was like, well, you know, there's surely a fatigue sort of factor. There's all of this information, and it's so horrible. Slave labor camps, right? In these slave labor camps, there's all these stories of the prisoners having to hang the other prisoners, right? So there you are with maybe hang your friend. You know, there's horrible stories of torture and death, and it's very easy to get overwhelmed and to get fatigued. But the problem with that argument is this right here, okay? This was the first concentration camp that the American forces found. So how can you be fatigued about something that's the first thing, you know? And so we're talking about March, like this time of the year is when we finally defeated the German onslaught, like at Battle of the Bulge. We're at the Siegfried Line, and we believe this is around April. So this is the very beginning of the invasion and the march towards Berlin. So why isn't this, which is the very first, right? So these are the celebrations around March 15th after the heroic stand where the Americans repelled this massive German invasion. And so it went, the pictures we just saw were at Marmelon, just like 2 hours outside Paris. And so, you know, here's where these officers were honored for their courageous stand and what they did to repel the German assault at the Battle of the Bulge, the Ardennes Forest. And so here's Paris, here's the Bastogne, Ardennes Forest, right? And so now here's Nordhausen. Yeah, excuse me there. Halfway to Berlin. So this was the very first, these images that we have here, that's part of this memoir, are the very first images that we have of Nazi concentration camps. So the argument that the reason we don't hear about it is because people are, tired of the horror and fatigued about the whole Holocaust story. It's not logical because this is Mittelbau-Dora was the very first concentration camp that we discovered, and it just happened to be where the Germans were creating the V1 and the V2 rockets. All right, so from Mittelbau-Dora to Mars, without the Third Reich rocket technology, right? Without the Third Reich rocket, would we even be where we are as far as the International Space Station, Elon Musk and SpaceX, Space Force? What do you think? Let us know in the chat, because we think that this story and pictures from this memoir should be a part of the historical record. People should bring into their awareness that it happened, right? These horrors happened to good people, and out of this cauldron of hell came the rocket technology that is bringing mankind to a new sort of place in modern times. So, how do you feel? What opinions do you have as far as America and NASA, SpaceX, and the acquiring of that rocket technology? If those technology was created by the Nazis in the Third Reich, should we have just buried it? Should we have just not used it because it was created through such horrible circumstances? So that's the question we want to leave you with. From Mittelbau-Dora to Mars. And we encourage you to check us out at n'oublions jamais.org.fr. Ouvre Collective Memorial. So take a screenshot right now of this QR code and let us know what you think. It's a very touching story. Of a World War I veteran holding on to these photographs of these unnamed soldiers. And we're going to find who these guys are one of these days with your help. And so we've pretty much have enough body of work, we feel, where we can start to get interviews of people who are experts in these matters, because there's a great story about Maurice Rose, who was a Jewish commander who, with a Mexican fighter pilot, organized this way of using air power and armored divisions together in a spearhead modern fashion. And they were like the first ones to put this together. And it's a great story. Maurice Rose. There's Nordhausen, the Bushwald complex of slave labor camps. This is a story that we need to talk about. It relates to China. People say that Uyghurs in China are sort of living the same sort of slave labor camp lifestyle. Is that true? Should we be buying products from these types of situations? So, from Mars, from Mittelbau-Dora to Mars, we get through this memoir, we get to talk about all of these issues and open the dialogue. For more well, we miss Gene and GP, but they'll be back next week. So please leave your comments. We want to know what you think about today's people, today's space programs being born with Nazi technology. Every rocket that goes up, it was invented by the Third Reich. This is part of our history and something we think has value to talk about, and we're doing what we can do to bring awareness through this collection of work that's at the website you see right there. Get your phone out, screen capture this image and take a look at our collection of photos. Some are pretty heavy duty, so be prepared for an emotional experience. All right, well, thanks for watching, and have a good week, and we'll see you next Sunday. All right, au revoir.